Here's Batman.
Oh, I see you're talking in transition. Hey,
I said,
Ben Harper, let's get our intro in and you can tell what you said. We're back, chat with the chief, another day, another week. Today is August 14th, 2025, year we're chat with the chiefs. I'm Director Dan McGinnis with the City of Benton Harbor Public Safety Department. And the handsome gent on the other side is Chief Greg Abrams, the Chief of Benton Township Police Department. Good
hello
afternoon,
all.
Chief Abrams. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, Director. I was saying that you got ears, you got sonar like a bat. You hear everything. I have everything low, and it's like you hear it all. Turn your radio down, turn your TV off. Hey, your fan's too loud. Okay, yes, sir. Got it all done.
Could well be. Well, good afternoon, Ben Harbor. Good to be back with you for another week of chat with the chief. We had a pretty good week this week. A lot of success, a lot of positive publicity that Chief Abrams will talk about, and go into some more detail on some of the stats. There's other things that we mentioned that we were working on from last week's show. We did a presentation on the drop in our stats for violent crimes, of a really precipitous drop on both sides of the 49022 border. So we're very pleased with that. We are still, however, dealing with the stolen vehicles and broken into or burglarized vehicles that are lower, but lower from a high perspective. So I think you might get into that. But other than that, Coach, I'm more out with this being chief and being coach. It's quite a bit, but we'll start off with you because you got all the energy. So, Chief Abrams, just in case y'all realize he's a little happier than normal,
I
he
am.
worked out on his lunch break, and he is got the energy of an army right now, and he's
Yeah,
trying to
I'm
catch
still feeling it. It'll go away soon, but I'm still feeling it right now. So,
it.
Director, I know you got a lot on your plate, and just so our chat with Chief Public would know, um, retribution did come to me by hands of Director McGinnis. He told everybody about the dunk tank situation, and then he set me up with a friendly interview where I end up getting slaughtered by two interviews at once. You may have
He did
saw
a
it on
great
TV.
job. He did a
ABC.
great job. That was a fantastic interview.
Well, yeah, but yeah, I think that was a good payback. I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready. They popped up, but I was able to give them what they needed. So, are we even now? I mean, I tried to take care of it, best I could.
Maybe for 2025, but we got to talk about 2024, 2023, 2022. And the Bible says, always be prepared to give an answer for the hope that rests within you. So you just do doing what you're supposed to do. That's all.
Well, mean, I go by the old slogan, "Be ready, so you ain't got to get ready." But yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that works the same. Okay, yes, sir.
So, boss, talk about just kind of to set the stage. Benton Harbor, for many, many years, at the start of my career, of course, and I started under you, the media was very hostile towards Benton Harbor and looked for all type of bad stuff. I would say through the years that has changed, and I know like almost every chief that's been at Benton Harbor has always hated ABC 57, and we always had ire with them. But I can say, man, they have treated us for many years now very, very well. Brian Connie Bear, the local reporters that come on scene locally, and I think the articles that we saw this week and last week, I think, prove that where we were treated very fairly. These are some very good and young, up and coming reporters, and I feel good about that because I know it really was really. And Chief, you were here. I mean, I worked on your shift. It was always fighting with ABC 57. Remember the one lady that sat in our commission meeting? She was blonde. I don't remember her name. Just nasty. She was just a nasty person. She's
Yeah,
gone now.
yeah,
And that's like 20 some years ago.
yes.
But and then you are photogenic and nice voice. And
Definitely not photogenic, but I can talk when I need to.
so that's it right now. I'm gonna say good afternoon to cousin Dre, Dre and Michelle. How you guys doing? He said finally quoting real scriptures. I always quote scriptures. I just use the New King James version, not the King James like people generally do. So, Chief, go ahead. You got the floor. Tell us about what you want to tell us, and how this relationship is working with one Benton Harbor.
Well, just like when ABC 57 and Channel 16 came down, they almost, it was like they were asking me, okay, what's the secret to your sauce? I'm like, there is no secret. Okay, it isn't. It's us collaborating together to make our community as safe as possible, sharing information across the border, allowing our detectives and our officers to collaborate together to come up with inventive, investigative ways to solve a lot of our problems. I think it's been working very well. I think the community has been more acceptive of it, and we want to continue this relationship because I don't think there's one out there that I know yet, in this part of the country that's doing this. And I think if more departments in this country will get on board and share the information and not always say, yeah, we're better than you or better than you, and come together, I mean, I think we can solve a lot of the issues in this country. I really do. Give the people a platform to express themselves on. That's what it's all about.
So, Chief, let me ask you a question. And we're actually just a few days away from being a year with the joint chat with the Chiefs. I know when we started, we were really saying, I know our detectives and officers have been frustrated with the lack of cooperation from some segments of society. And we've really been pushing that, see something, say something, like you just said. Have you seen on your side, or have you seen since we've come together, a improvement in the cooperation and actually gleeful willingness of our citizens to help us?
I have seen a dramatic cooperation. I still get the phone calls of issues that's going on in the community, whether it be ordinance, it could even be something dealing with trash or cars. I'm still getting those low key type of uh, people calling, talking about the things that are going on in their neighborhood, and we're dealing with it. When information comes to me, I disseminate that information to the shift sergeant, who then disseminates that information to his officers to make sure that the problem gets solved. Then I follow up with that sergeant. Hey, did you take care of this? Did this get done? Were they happy? Okay, we're good. Moving on to the next situation. And that's what it's been all about. And the officers from, the 49022 township, city, they love working together. They
Yeah.
love being together on calls in each other's, district or jurisdiction, if you want to call it that. And we've encouraged that type of relationship. They've welcomed that type of relationship. And I can tell you now, they know either one of us wants that to ever change.
Right.
We want it to be built upon, is what we want.
So what I also have seen is citizens calling, leaving messages, or emailing pictures or video footage, things like, "Hey, this might not be anything, but here are these kids I see quite a bit late at night going in and out of this, this yard with backpacks," and that has been tremendous. So for us in the city side, we've seen a heightened cooperation with citizens that I think they got it. And I think they might have been frustrated, because you see things going on and maybe things don't move as fast as maybe they want to.
Uh-huh.
But the thing is, we said before, and we've proven this, when the citizens help, because remember, we work for you, and we try to make sure you have peace and tranquility in your neighborhoods where you live. You don't work for us; we work for you. So it's when we get the information, when we got help from the citizens, we're able to move quicker. A lot of times be able to make arrests and solve those problems. And I think people are saying that, well, I don't want to say nothing, or I'm scared, or those
Uh-huh.
young folks don't have respect no more. I don't want to get on their radar. We get all that. What we say is that I believe that there's more of us than it is of them. So you got 90% of the Benton Harbor and Benton Township are law-abiding, loving citizens. 10% might cause a trouble, and again, 90 is bigger than 10. So we've had some success there, and I'm very happy with that. We've had actually at our commission meetings people come in more. and speaking their mind. I think even with the kind of the controversial issue we had with the nuisance party situation,
Mhm.
that actually ended up very well. People just wanted to come and be heard, and there were some very very good comments. On both sides of whether the argument was, it was respectful. They came, and it was as if they knew that they could share their thought and then be heard. And I guess that's what I like, man. I enjoy that with our citizens. Again, you go to Myers, go to Martin's, we get stopped every 5 steps. But I think that us trying to build those relationships is exactly why, if you see your chief in your community, you can stop him and bend your ear. And I just
Right.
think that's part of just working together. We're a team, one family. We're one Benton Harbor.
I agree. 100%. Matter of fact, Chief, don't you got some good news? You were talking about before the show started regarding some vehicle break-ins. I think you had some news regarding that, didn't you?
Yeah, I was gonna let you go first. So, just so you know, this is pretty fresh. So I don't really have all the information on there, but we caught 3 juveniles in progress breaking into some cars. We got them out of River Terrace. As we've been giving you weekly updates, we've been telling you about. There's been some on the south side, some kind of more northern side, more central Benton Harbor, some on the north side. And we have been catching these kids, but the problem is they are kids. And ultimately, they don't do anything that scores them out to be able to be lodged in a juvenile center. But last night, my night shift, who does a great job getting out there and handling issues, caught these kids in progress. Won't reveal their names because they were, I believe, 14, 15, and 15.
Uh-huh.
But what we did do is give their parents tickets for parental responsibility. Because I'm not exactly sure what time it was, but it was very, very, very late or / early in the morning. So we have to have some type of accountability for that. And my officers found on one of the uh, juvenile suspects, they actually had a bank card on them from a previous car burglary.
Oh, that's
So,
beautiful.
yes. So I wish they were adults, but it is what it is. And I think ultimately, and it's a question I want to kind of entertain with the public. I don't think it's appropriate. Actually, we shouldn't put out the names of juveniles. Um, However, do we put out the names of the parents? Now, here's what gets a little tricky. I do know that you got some great parents. You got some kids that might be slightly incorrigible. Kids sneak out the house. Mom may or may not know. Dad may or may not know that they're going where they are. It's a case by case basis. But how do we? And I'm thinking out loud. And I'm looking for comments from citizens. How would we want to treat that? Again, obviously the kids have done wrong. Just I think for legal reasons, we don't put juveniles information out.
Right.
Do we say, hey, here's just mom, dad? How would we want to treat that? Especially if they can know, like, okay, now I know little so and so has been doing this. I'm gonna keep an eye on him because he live on my street.
Uh-huh.
So again, to treat people fairly, we don't just blast out people's information and expose them. And to that point, I want to say, when you contact myself or Chief Abrams, know that's an absolute confidentiality. All right, we're not going to say, Sister Ann Kelly from 554 Columbus called me and said, I'm not going to do that because we would violate that trust. But we do get out on both sides of the line. We're catching these kids in the township and the city. But again, we said before, these kids will say, I know nothing's going to happen. So we'll keep doing what we're doing. But that is some good news, and we're going to keep doing what we're doing. And maybe someday the courts will hold them accountable, or they'll get to a point where they'll be old enough where we can lodge them in jail, which is not necessarily what we want for young youth. But I'm more concerned about people's homes, their cars, and their belongings, that they should be able to have their stuff safely and not be stolen because they work hard for it.
There you go. And that goes for the businesses as well. We don't,
Yeah.
I know we have a lot of businesses that maybe don't think we understand the problems that they go through, but we do. and we try to make sure we stop by the businesses as well, and you know, check on. I mean, I've talked to managers, hey, how things going, any situations, any problems. So we want our businesses to be safe because this is where our citizens go to get their groceries, pick up their meds. So all across the board, we want everybody to be safe without having to worry about, hey, when I come back out of the store, you know, are the groceries I left in my car going to be gone?
Right.
Or my phone I made a mistake and left in the car is when it's going to be broken and the phone taken. So yeah, we're going to be vigilant doing these things, and I think Director McGinnis, just with the information you gave us, I think that vigilance is working on our end to make sure that we keep our community safe. So,
Right.
hey, kudos to you and the team.
Thank you. You guys as well. So you're going to talk about some stats because we talked about the good things.
Yeah, we
Uh,
did.
there was a precipitous drop of violent crime, shootings, homicides in both Benton Harbor and Benton Township. Again, being transparent, those vehicle issues were up. They were down, but they were down from high stats years previous. So
Hmm.
yes, we are seeing a drop in those because again, we do catch these folks. Of course, not every time, but I think you're going to talk about that, and I think someday I will do a comparison to see what it was. And I did this, but I didn't show it for that 10 years ago versus now, because there really traditionally aren't that many stolen vehicles or burglarized vehicles in any regular year. It
Hmm.
just seems kind of post COVID, things kind of got crazy. And then a lot of these kids are on TikTok and their various social media things that teach them how to do kind of lawless stuff.
And um, audience, if you see me look, I have a new screen, so I'm really perplexed right now as to where to look at. So I know my camera's in front of me, but my screen to where the show is showing is to my left, which could be to your right. So if you see me veering and asking, what does he keep looking at? I'm looking at another screen so I can see some of the comments in case I have to ask questions and things like that. So don't. I'm not preoccupied. I just have two screens I'm trying to figure out. So
Chief,
Dan
I
says
got
he's going to help me out. So the things I didn't get a chance. Were you done, director? I want to make sure before I had a chance to go through these. Some
Oh
of the
no, I'm
goals.
done. We got one
Okay.
comment from Dre. Police should hold minors accountable, also focusing on education, mentorship, and connecting them to programs that address the root cause of their behavior, not just punishment. I would agree with that, and which kind of, in my mind, leads me into what I'm doing, what I may talk about as far as a football team. So I'm getting more and more guys on the field and off the streets, and with the potential to get in trouble. So I totally agree with that, uh, Dre.
That's a beautiful thing.
Go ahead, Chief.
So here's where some of the problems I am having. Um, so even though my damage to property went from 211 to 174, um, from August of 2024 to August 2025, that's still too much. But the numbers that really got to me was my intimidation and stalking complaints. I had 71 in 2024. This year I had 160, which begs me to wonder what's really going on. Why are we harassing one another, stalking one another? I mean, I don't, are they relationship breakups? That's a lot of harassment, stalking complaints, or intimidation, stalking complaints to have in 8 months. So I'm trying to figure out what this trend here is all about. Um, our retail frauds, yeah, 184 last year up until August. This year I'm at 252.
Mm.
Okay. I know the economy is terrible. You know, I know things are bad, but we have to figure out a way, to get the things that we need for ourselves and for our family and live without having to go to Walmart, Kohl's, and Myers and steal it. Because all you're doing is you're messing your life up. Because 9 times out of 10, at some point, you're going to want a really good job, and you might get that job until they find out that on your record they saw that you stole. So now they're fearful that you're going to steal from them, and they could either fire you if you withheld that information or just not hire you at all. Your record follows you. So, you know, you got to think smart, Ask friends, ask neighbors, ask relatives. Hey, I need to borrow. I need this. My baby need Pampers. I need milk and formula. do what you have to do, but don't mess yourself up in the process. So that is one of the things that has increased our violation of Controlled Substance Act. I was kind of happy about that one somewhat, which is pretty much drugs. Let's just say this is pretty much about drugs. So we had 36 instances of complaints in 2024, and I'm at 33 in 2025. And mind you, I'm talking about from January to August. So I had a reduction there.
Yeah,
and I know not all crimes get reported, and we understand that to a certain extent. I guess some people have warrants. I ain't telling. I got a warrant. Don't call me. Now, my public peace, man, 2024 public peace incidents, and that's the parties, that's the cars riding around, that's disturbances, all these things that create public peace. I had 265 instances, from January to August of 2024, 265. This year I am already at 684. What's really going on, right? I don't know, and this is one of the reasons why I decided to start the car show. Is like, man, I got to give our community something to do, to try to get these numbers down. And now that I have these numbers, it would allow me to focus on, okay, what is it I can do in these areas, you know, to reduce these numbers. Creative thinking, sit down with you and your crew or your commissioners or my board, sit down with the citizens. Hey, what can we do? We got a lot of numbers here that makes no sense. What can we do to get these numbers back to, where they belong or where they should be? I'd rather have zero, but that's a perfect world. That's pretty much Jesus, you up in heaven, no more problems, no more worries. But while we're here, we need to figure this out, right? We need to figure this out.
Right.
So, yeah. Oh, and accidents. I don't know where you were at with accidents. So, in the township, and I know I'm just due to construction, we were at, and construction's been going on for the last couple of years. We were at 237 for 2024. This year I'm at 334. And I know, like I said, a lot of that's probably because of a lot of construction that's going on and probably distracted. A lot of it's distracted driving as well. And you can sprinkle a couple of OWIs in there as well, operating while intoxicated. So those numbers are up as well. So I don't know.
So a lot of those are what we call not cost of living, but kind of dealing with your things that not necessarily. For example, you had like some super liberal folks will say, well, drugs are a victimless crime, which is totally false because drugs are not a victimless crime because people who get on drugs ultimately themselves often lose physically, mentally. Sometimes they might get to the point where the addiction are losing their homes or affecting their families. They're not supporting their kids. Families worry about them. Parents may die early from stress or never see their kid. So you can't say that drugs is a victimless crime. Public peace also, that's a victimless crime. Well, not necessarily. If I'm blasting my music, you got people in houses and homes that don't want to hear all that. So it's not a victimless crime. So, a lot of time, that's why those particular things, Chief, aren't included in the FBI 9 stats because they don't look at them as necessarily as severe as murder, death, rape, robbery, vehicle theft, etc.
Right.
So, again, I think what we're saying is those things are important to people. You can't say, well, they just shoplifting. That's not that big a deal. It is. Now, I want to kind of throw something at you, Chief, as far as that stat, as far as the retail fraud. Getting back, I think I mentioned earlier, my point is how many kids might be saying, like in Chicago, where they're bum rushing stores, New York, they're bum rushing stores and just overrunning them and just looting them and cleaning them out and leaving. Grocery stores, cell phone stores.
Right.
We're not seeing that here.
No.
But there's a culture of promoting lawlessness in certain cities. Are we influenced? I mean, and I throw this out for discussion. I'm not saying that this is a fact. But in some years, on the other hand of that, just some years there's more things than others as far as the public order crimes. That's what I was looking for. What's called public order crimes.
Uh-huh. Yes,
So,
yes,
and I'm gonna say this, and if you don't live in Ben Harbor, I would hope that your chief and his staff are diving down into these like we're doing here, like Chief is doing, like, okay, here's what my numbers are, but why? That's
right.
important, but why? And that's how you get solutions and ideas like, hey, let's work together because you got this problem, I got this problem, we both have this problem. It's the same population, the same people, one line. It doesn't really matter as far as a division line. Let's work together.
That's right. I was a little um, I won't say upset, but I'm just kind of scratching my head. So we always talked about the suspicious call complaint. So in 2024, because we ask people to involve themselves, call when things are going on, so we can, we can deal with these situations. I had 1,500 suspicious call complaints last year. So that's great. This year, I'm down to 968. So now it's like, okay, and that's to the date, August. I mean, from January to August on both years. So I like to see that number come up. When you see things, give us a call. I'm hoping by the end of the year, um, I'll exceed, these numbers that happened last year. And when you see things, you'll give us a call so we can address the issues as best as possible.
And that's interesting because I have actually for the last several years. So for many, many years, so Ben Harbor, we have what's called CFS, calls for service. And that's we look at how many calls we have in a particular time frame. I go monthly. So probably about I'm bad with time frame. Let's say about 6 to 10 years ago, our calls of service, and I do have a graph. I don't have a prop to go, but I do have a graph for that. Calls of service followed a pattern. They were lower in the winter. So, for example, in Ben Harbor, our calls of service might be, 700 for December, January, February, March. They start to kind of rise up as it gets warmer naturally, and then we get to May, June, July, August, we'd be over 1,000. Well, the last several years, we're probably about at least, well, not at least, but anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 calls for service every single month. And I haven't really dug into that because I wanted to see some years trends. Sometimes we have to wait for years to go by to be able to look at trends. Why we went from, like, say a December might be anywhere from 400 to 600 calls for service in that month to now we're always at least 1,000, 1,100 in every month, including December. Why that is? So you just reminded me to get back into that data and see what it is. Why have those calls gone up so much? And I don't think we can even say or blame it on the pandemic because I think I started to see this trend even before the pandemic happened.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there. I don't really have an answer, but those are things we look for. And so also bear in mind, Benton Harbor and Benton Township. So your complaint numbers are roughly close. You're bigger than we are, so you'll have more areas. So you'll have usually about maybe 1,000 to
It's usually
1,500
about
more.
Yep.
But I've seen you guys is kind of on that same pattern
We are.
of rising.
I can
So
tell you now that last year we had 13,500 and some change calls last year. That was for 2024. Am I trending toward that same number now? I kind of am. Would I like to see would I like to see that number reduce? I really do. So I got work to do, and I know I have work to do. We have work to do, and if I can say, hey man, I got 1,000 less calls, in 2025 than I did 2024. That's a big hooray for me. That's
right.
for us. That's a win. So yeah, that's what I'm
Um,
looking at. I'm trying to make it so our officers aren't out there being so stressed out. Because officers go on vacation, they take days off. They have vacation time, they take comp time. So when that happens, that leaves shifts a little bit shorter than the standard manpower, which I love about our collaboration because now we pick up where that one man may leave off. I have somebody from Europe you know, city coming saying, hey, yeah, I know you got short, but I heard you got calls on. I'm coming to help you out with these calls, and vice versa. That's what
Right.
makes these things work when we have, officers off. But like I said, I like to still see our numbers get a little bit lower than what they've been.
Yeah. So we got a question here. This is Mr. Foy himself. So to answer your question, all right. So when somebody submits a FOIA, they can request information that already exists, but we're under no obligation to create a spreadsheet to answer somebody's questions. So can those numbers be shared in a spreadsheet? They're actually shared every single month. So if they're shared every single month, all we have to do is refer them to the site where they are. I do a public safety report every month. The links are in there, and you can do that. So people want us to kind of mine the data for them as if we have nothing else to do with our time, and that's not how the FOIA law works. Now, with that being said, because this is a bone of contention with me, we don't have an administrative assistant. It's been on a couple years now. So myself and my deputy directors have absorbed those things, but at the expense of us getting our stuff done, because 80% of my time is dealing with FOIAs. And we do have some people who request information that will be a charge that don't pay. So the information is already out there. So it's up to the person to be able to get that stuff and mine it and digest it as they will, because we don't necessarily have time to do all that. So I got a stack right here. These are traffic FOIAs. Do you want your
Wow.
director doing FOIAs or actually trying to review policy, supervise officers, make sure code compliance is operating the same, making sure your fleet is in shape, or because a lot of these FOIAs are actually busy work. We get FOIAs for people will saying, hey, how many electrical minutes did you have in the month of May? Like, why? I don't know why. Who knows? So,
Well, and
uh,
that's not to mention all the continuing education training that we have to do that we're obligated to do by the state. We have to
right,
do so many hours every year, and these hours keep increasing, and they're over many, many, many subjects. And at the end of each subject, there is a test. You have to take this test. It may be online, but every officer in the state of Michigan have to do CPE classes, and they have to take a test at the end of each class. Matter of fact, I still have a copy. We have to do, domestic violence training, foundation ethics and law enforcement, opioid crisis training, duty to intercede training. I mean, ambush awareness training. Man, it's so much stuff. And yeah, so FOIA requests, though very important, very time consuming, which
right.
does not allow you to do all these other things that you have to do to stay up on, your education of your field.
Yeah, because we're of course sitting in our office, not doing nothing, waiting for 4 years. But Chief, to your point, for us, remember we're public safety, we're police and fire. So just
Oh,
think about what you just said, and now double that.
much worse.
Yeah.
That's a
So
lot of
this
work.
year we have the emphasis on mental health. I got my guys going through their classes, getting those done. Um, but we have requirements for us by the state on MCOs on the police side. That's the Michigan Commission on Law Enforcement Standard, as well as on the fire side. So it's very difficult to get all that in, all that training in. Now, with that being said, I am pleased to say I totally 100% agree with continuing ed on police side. This is a new thing that they just started last year, because for many, many years, Michigan didn't have continuing ed for cops, which I think that was asinine. You got to have continuing ed for cops because it's a constantly always evolving field. And then of course we've had them for fire. So right now we have to do a mandatory 8 hours just in mental health on top of another 16 hours on the police side. We have for 2025 we have to have 24 hours of CPE, continuing professional education.
Mhm.
And again, I'm not even sure it is on the fire side. Starts at home, that's fine. All right, that's good. Oh shoot, Chief, you got anything else? That was very good as far as letting us know about the public order crimes, how those kind of ebb and flow, calls for service that we have. Um,
One thing, and I was thinking about interpreting when I was talking about the suspicious calls. I had to think on the other end of the spectrum. Maybe that's because there's less to report of suspicious activity because things are looking better instead of
Right.
looking at the bad side saying, man, nobody's reporting suspicious activity. Maybe because we're trending down in a lot of areas where there isn't as much, you know, and maybe that's why my numbers are lower on suspicious activity complaints. So, I mean, it's just a thought.
And conversely, could you see those being into those other higher call for service numbers when we look at CFS? So there's
Yes,
a lot. There's a lot to think about. These are the type of things, Ben Harbor, that we sit at home at night, laying in bed thinking about.
it is. He's not lying. It really is. What can I
So,
do better? How can I reach out more? It's always how can we do better where we at for our community.
so actually, we could be going here a little bit. Do you want to give us a quick update on car show?
Oh, still everything. The date is still as it's set, September 20th. It's going to run from 11 a.m. to probably 4 or 5 p.m. I'm still putting everything together. As soon as I get everything on board, as far as the vendors who's going to be there, and I'm still working out logistics with Slumberland of how to set up the parking lot. Yes, everything is still planned. Everything is still going as planned, and township's behind me. So yeah, we're good. We're on.
I know we're at like 37 and a half minutes now. I will say very briefly. One of the things I do, again, for those of you that know, I am now the head football coach at the high school. And that has it's been very rewarding. It's definitely a challenge. Um, and I try to keep police and police life separate from other stuff, ministry, church, the football team. However, those things actually are all overlap because it's really all ministry, it's all outreach, it's all everything. But I'm extremely proud, very briefly, and I plan to get my own podcast just for football, so I can talk football with Benton Harbor. But one, come out and support Tiger football. Our first game is August 28th. It's going to be a home game versus Battle Creek Central. Right now, just kind of give you an idea. When I took the job, one of the first few things I heard is, well, you won't be able to do this. You won't have enough players for that. You won't have enough for JV. Because I said I want to come in. I wanted enough players to be able to platoon an offense and a defense. Oh, you won't be able to do that. It's not enough players. Traditionally, they don't come until school. Blah blah blah. Last year, you had, I think they started with 24 kids in the entire program. There was no freshman or JV team. This year, yesterday alone, we had over 40 players. So I've almost doubled the numbers in 1 year because you can't tell me what we can't do. We have what's called 7-on-7 that we do for the month of July. And when I talked we did at Lakeshore, hey, we're going to bring a JV team. They're like, oh, you have a JV team, 7-on-7? That I'm hearing we haven't had JV 7-on-7 for, I heard different years, different times. But yeah, we have a JV team. We had a very, very strong freshman group. We're actually pretty young. We have a very strong sophomores, juniors. We have good seniors. We got some good people, some good kids. So I'm really excited about that. I'm excited about our numbers. And we were 40 plus yesterday. And I had several people, about five to seven, that were off on excused absences. So again, they told me you won't have the numbers. You can't tell me what we can't have. And it took probably the first month for the kids to kind of get to know me, get used to me. Who's this guy? Where you come from? And let me say this, Ben Harbor. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to see, not if I have do my part to have young black men not become defendants or suspects or victims, to help them, to minister them, to give them strong mentorship, and to help lead them on a path to become strong citizens where they're going to be fathers, they're going to be coaches, they're going to work in their community. That's my goal. Benton Harbor has some challenges. Got a lot of great kids. Some kids got some issues that we take for granted or don't know exist. So it has been so rewarding just building the relationships with the kids. And, there's some frustrations because the program has been down. Sometimes it's tough getting stuff done, but just having the kids. So yesterday, I got about 45, 46 kids that weren't on the streets. They weren't getting in trouble. They were doing something productive. So I'm saying we can take those kids out the population of those that might get in trouble and lead down to some bad decision making. That's my goal. So on top of that, I think we're going to be pretty good. We're going to go from 0-9. Our goal is to make the playoffs. And kids are starting to buy into that. And I can go on and on. I just wanted to kind of put that out there. Tiger football is back. We got some great kids. They said we couldn't do it. Again, don't ever tell me what I can't do. We can't do, because I tell my kids, we are Benton Harbor, period. I'm going to stop there.
That right there. I have nothing else to say but that there. I'm good.
All right, Benton Harbor. We appreciate you guys. Actually, some comments are rolling in here. There's a friend saying thank you. We appreciate you too. And again, we keep us accountable. Keep coming. Thank you, Brother Percy. That's real good. Oh, look at that sharp gentleman right there. Looks looking good. Boom. Goes, you're amazing. Keep getting it done. Appreciate it. Lastly, let's get out of here. Can't tell me what I can't have. That's it. We'll end on that. That's a mic drop.
There you go.
So, Ben Harbor, we thank you for listening. This probably was a little boring because whenever you talk about stats, it's boring. However, it's important, and we're keeping you informed. Please spread this link to this podcast around to your friends on your pages. Go to Township, come to the city. This is our Benton Harbor Department of Public Safety Facebook site. Also, it's on our City of Benton Harbor YouTube channel, and I still got to get it to where you can access it from Township, because every episode I download and it splits it from the video, and we got an audio. So really, we also have an audio podcast, this version. I just haven't shared with you yet, Chief. So you hold me accountable too. Be on me.
All right. Yes, sir. Well, right now, just hearing that football speech, yeah, I'll reserve my words for a little later. You got a lot going on.
Yes, sir. All right, Ben Harbor. Hey, we love you. We love you. We love you. Keep at it with us, and we're going to make a change because, again, we are Benton Harbor, period. Till next week, you all be blessed. We'll be back on here, same bat time, same bat channel. We'll talk to you later.
Be safe.